In this video, I'll be sliding under the 4Runner to install a full set of rival skid plates. I'll show you what's included in the kit, how to make sense of all the brackets provided, my install technique for each piece of armor, and the final result. Stick around. I ordered these skid plates from Underdog Motorsports here in Arizona. They've been sitting in my garage for a few months, and I finally have the time to install them. There are 4 reasons why I chose these particular skid plates. Firstly, they are priced reasonably well at about $1,000 for the full set. Many of the other sets I was considering were a few $100s more, and some still needed to be sent out for powder coating, which is something I did not want to pay for or deal with. Secondly, they're aluminum, which is what I wanted for my style of off-roading. The aluminum saves me some added weight, but they are still pretty stout at 1/4 inch thick. They are slotted, that allows for airflow and evacuation of water, and most importantly, they have cutouts for both the oil drain plug and the oil filter without having to remove a plate. This is exactly what I was looking for. Let's get on with the install. Alright, so I'm going to start with removing the factory skid plates, and there are 3 of them. The front skid plate is off my 4Runner right now. I took it off when I did the suspension, and I knew I was doing the skid plate soon, so I left it off. So there are only 2 skid plates for me to remove. If you need to know how to remove that front skid plate, you can refer to my oil change video, and I show you how to drop that. It's quite easy. So we're going to work on getting these skid plates off, and as you can see, the factory skid plates did not cover the transmission or the exhaust crossover pipe right there, and there was some exposure also to the cats. So with the new skid plates, I'm going to be covering all those areas. Those cats won't be completely covered, but they will be restricted a little bit. For those of you who have a short attention span, I'm just going to show you the final product right now. And right after we shoot this, we're going to get into the actual install of the skid plates. Removing the factory skid plates is pretty straightforward. This plate that I'm working on now is actually the rear section of the front skid plate, and that's going to be replaced with 1 full skid plate, so it won't be in 2 sections like the OEM is. Please keep in mind that the vehicle I'm working on is a 2017, so 5th gen 4Runner, and it is the SR5 model. I'm not going to bore you too much with the actual removal because it's pretty straightforward, but the gas tank skid plate, that bolt from the top bracket right here, is the hardest part of this whole job. It was very tricky to get to because of the drive shaft that's sitting right there, right close to the bolt. So I tried multiple ways on figuring out how to remove it, and I ended up using a wrench with very short turns, and it took a little bit of time, but easy enough overall. And once I dropped that skid plate, I could actually see how thin it was. Here's the gas tank skid plate factory out. This bolt was a tough one. It was close to the drive shaft, so it was hard to get in there, but it just took a little bit of wrenching and everything was good. Alright guys, that wasn't so bad, but of course I have the 4Runner on a lift, so I'm sitting underneath it on this nifty chair. Nice rollers, back support, and I'm gonna go grab those other skid plates and start to mount from the front back. There are 2 brackets for the front skid plate. Alright, this is the front bracket. Unfortunately, the sun's starting to come in over here and screwing my lighting up, but front bracket is going to angle forward with these 2 bolts because the skid plate comes up and around, and we're just snugging them so we can still adjust this back and forth. Alright, so we're going to put the mid bracket in, and these are the 2 holes for the mid bracket on the front skid. We make sure that that arrow right there is facing forward. I'm going to put these bolts in on the side right here. And we're not going to tighten up just yet, so we have some adjustment room. We have the bolt with the flat washer and spacers, 2 of those. And they will be going, so we have the mid bracket here, and if we work our way back on this cross member right here, we're going to start to thread these in. Skid plate is going to slide. The skid plate will slide spacer up and then so the skid plate will slide in between that spacer and the washer, so we'll spread them apart. So we'll just leave enough room. I'm going to mount that front skid plate actually from the back first, and they have little slots which I'm going to start to work into those spacers. It can be a little tricky, but you basically want to sandwich the skid plate in between the spacer and the washer, with the washer being on the bottom and the spacer being on top. Once that's in, you can just simply swing up the skid plate and you can tighten the 5 mounting bolts. You're not going to tighten them all the way until everything is aligned. Once those bolts are in, you can go ahead and tighten everything up. We're installing now the second skid plate, which is the transmission and transfer case. And this also has 2 brackets. So this is the first bracket, and that one is going to go in this location here across on this cross member. So these 2 factory bolts will come out. These 2 factory bolts will come out. We're going to be mounting this large cross member up into the frame rails. So these are the holes, one here and one on the other side as far as the frame rail. This is the bracket we just mounted, so it's sitting about 14 inches behind that one. Now we need to get a nut in there. Nut on a wire. So if you bend it the right way, what you have to do is feed it through the frame rail. And it's going to come out the bottom. You have to line it up right here and then get a bolt in there. So let's watch it. See if I can get this in line. Let me see. So this is the bottom of the frame rail right here, and I'm trying to get the nut to poke right here and line it up. So there it is right there. And I'm going to see if I can do this with one hand. If not, I'm going to drop the camera and do it with 2 hands. Alright, so I got it started there. This one will not tighten all the way because there's a slip tab. So on the other one, we will tighten it all the way. So the middle bracket's in, the back cross member bracket is in. Now if we go to the front part of the skid plate where it butts up against the front skid, there are 2 holes here in the frame, the smaller ones, and they have these, I'm going to turn around. They have these, also these nut inserts. I did something a little bit different. I pulled those tabs actually through the front of the skid plate here. When I installed it underneath the skid plate and I put the bolt in, these tabs, or the whole actual bolt, was actually spinning. So what I'm going to do is put the bolts in, and then I can break these tabs off if I want, but I probably just leave them. But I think I can just hold it on the side while I put the bolt in and prevent it from spinning, hopefully. We have the last skid plate here, which covers the gas tank. There are 4 brackets. The directions aren't very good, but they're pretty easy to figure out. This is actually how they lay. If the front of the vehicle is this way, this is going to be your right front, right back, left front, left back. And for example, they're going to mount going up into the body. I'll show you. This was actually the one that was a pain in the butt to get out, but it's going to mount up into that bolt hole, and then you'll notice those 2 right here. That skid plate will be bolted to the bottom of these welded in nuts. Here is the finished product, guys. I am extremely happy with the quality and the fitment of the rival skid plates. I will leave links for the skid plates as well as some of the tools used in the video in the description below. If you live in Arizona, you can order these through Underdog Motorsports and pick them up directly, or else if you're out of state, they will ship to you. I do not have any affiliation with Underdog Motorsports. I just like to support the small family businesses that are local to me. I do appreciate each and every one of you who watch the videos and leave comments. I do answer every comment that's left on my videos, and I have a lot more content coming up, so please subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and don't miss an upcoming video, and I will see you guys on the next one.